What's up guys, welcome back to the 1973 Honda CB504 Cafe Racer build. In the last episode, I polished off the whole engine. I showed you guys two really good techniques to make it look nice and polished. Super fast, super easy, the easiest and fastest way I have found to do it. Now that the bike looks good, we've got to make it ride good. And to get this bike riding good again, we need to fix the two very bad fuel leaks that this bike has. I don't know if you guys have seen Classic Octane. He's another YouTube channel that does motorcycle builds, and he has a Honda CB504, and he was trying to fix this very same fuel leak in the Petcock that my bike is having. Taylor, if you're watching this, I found the real reason why we're having that fuel leak. It's not that it's badly machined inside the Petcock, it's that we're missing a very important rubber sealing gasket washers that go under the screws that hold the Petcock to the gas tank. It's labeled number 9 on the parts diagram, and none of the aftermarket Petcocks come with those for some reason. So I went ahead and bought some on eBay. I'm going to put those in the Petcock to hopefully fix that fuel leak. The issue is that even in the off position, the Petcock still dribbles fuel into the carburetors, eventually leading to the carburetors leaking out of the floats, especially since I have cheap eBay float needle valves installed in these carburetors. So another thing I'm going to do is pull the carbs off and reinstall the factory float hardware. So it sounds like a super easy fix. Let's go ahead and get this gas tank off and put these new washers in the Petcock. Tiny little package. Thank you. What the heck? They just sent me a stupid little letter. Uh-oh. Not looking good. Oh wait, no, there they are. Two little red fiber washers. 6mm by 12mm. Alright, 14mm wrench to pull off the sediment bowl. Oh, why did I not think there'd be gas in there? As I was saying, this gives me a great opportunity to clean out the sediment bowl and see how that's going. There's definitely a little bit of rust flakes in there, so I'm glad I have the inline fuel filters installed. Little magnet, there we go. See, the reason is because there is a lock washer that came with these bolts for the Petcock, but I'm not going to be able to install those because that would not seal properly, so I'm just going to put that sealing washer in there and then tighten it down. That good? There we go. Do that on the other one. And that should fix my Petcock leaking problem once and for all. Alright, all good. While I have the gas tank off the bike, there's one more thing I want to do. That is to install this. It's time to get these carbs off. And there they are. So I've got all of the old carburetor hardware, and I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to reinstall some of these parts to get these floats to stop leaking. Start with this one on the left. Why not? So the problem is a classic problem that a lot of these bikes have, is that the floats don't seal up unless you are tapping on them, and the tapping on the carburetor kind of helps the float needle valve position correctly so that it can actually seat and close off the flow of gas, but it shouldn't do that all the time, and that's what these do. This is just the cheap eBay jet kit, which has these cheap floats and even came with these nice float seats that I didn't even need to replace, but I thought since they were nice and new I should pop them in. But Sometimes it's better to stick with the factory parts, guys. Trust me. I've learned my lesson. Don't always buy the cheap eBay kits. Even though that price is so attractive, it's not worth it. It's going to lead to more work in the future, like what I'm doing right now. So we're going back to the stock float seat and needle. There's the stock one right there. It's definitely different. The eBay one, the opening is bigger. Maybe that's why it was leaking. I am going to replace these O-rings though, because they are just all dried up and flattened out. And they probably don't seal too good anymore. See how it just cracked? I was trying to remove it. That's what happens to old seals. They just dry out and become brittle, and they don't seal anymore. Luckily, I can just rob these new seals and put them on my old float seats, and that should fix the problem. Pop it in. I'm sending it. I'm using the old float needles too, so I don't think there's anything wrong with them. And I'll put the float back in. And now we're going to have to recheck the float height. So we want the tab of the float just barely touching the top of the float needle. And the float height for this specific bike should be 22 millimeters. And that's way off. I remember having to adjust these after I installed the aftermarket float needle and seat. I guess the specs were different. Let's just bend that tab down a little bit and recheck it. That's perfect. All right. I also thought the bike might be running a little bit rich, so I went ahead and switched back to 110 main jets. I was at about 115 before, so not a big difference, just half a size. Just seemed like it was bogging down at full throttle, and it felt like it was too rich. 115 was kind of big. Let's close it up. All right, now we just got to do the same thing to the rest of them. Back on the bike. Okay, I have not connected the fuel lines yet. The only way to see if the petcock is actually sealing up or not is to put some gas in the tank and then check the petcock, see if it's dripping out. There's the fuel outlet. There's no fuel dripping out, so that fixed the leak. Yes. Make sure it even still flows. Oh, yep. Alright, fuel lines are connected. Let's turn the petcock to reserve. Start filling up the carbs, and we will see if the floats leak or not. One last thing I want to do in this video is pop off this cover and replace the oil pressure sensor. There's the oil pressure sensor right there, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Before I remove the old sensor, I'm going to attach the wire to this extra sensor I have. This is from a Honda Shadow, but I'm pretty sure it's the same exact sensor. So let's touch that on. Yep, oil light turns on. With this one, it actually lights up red whenever it's grounded to the engine. And that is not happening with the old one for some reason. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this sensor is bad. Let's get this guy out of there. And there's that old sensor. So this one's a tiny bit smaller, but the threads look exactly the same. The way the wire connects is the same. So I'm just gonna install this one. There we go, nice and tight. Now we just gotta start up the bike and make sure that oil light turns off. started right up. Also, I fixed the oil pressure sensor. You could see it was on at first and now it's off. So yes, we have oil pressure. Also, there's no more fuel. It's going pretty quick, but it just feels like something still is not right with the bike. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it clears up on this ride. The bike still ran sluggish, and at a stoplight, I can see black smoke pouring out of the left exhaust pipe. And it's obvious that the bike's running way too rich for some reason, so I'm going to have to dig into the carbs one more time. And as you can see, my speedometer is no longer working. So I think the drive cable snapped. Still got a lot of work to do on this bike.